I have made myself the manager of Spurs.
Don't do this! You can't do this!
To see if we can win them a trophy for the first time since 2008.
Unlucky.
I definitely doubt I'll play a back three with a defence that bad either.
All the bloody resistance of a poppadom catching a bowling ball.
Maybe I am being too harsh on Spurs, but this task isn't going to be easy with the board demands and of course the new inclusion of the supporters' expectations being added to FM23. Which, by the way, use code OMEGA at 2game.com, get yourself a discount if you haven't picked up the game yet for around about £32, and you help me as well. I'll leave a link in the description. But there is an expectation of being competitive against Chelsea and finishing above Arsenal in the league, something they are currently failing to do in real life. But will Daniel Levy and his perfectly bald head give me enough time to win the Premier League? Well, we have around £26 million to spend this summer. And tactically, I have kept it very simple, using a 4-2-3-1 asymmetric. And I didn't want to use too many instructions or overcomplicate things until I really understand more about this match engine. And looking through the squad planner, our weakest positions is definitely in defence, with all three positions needing a bit of an upgrade. Next season at left back though, we have two players out on loan who will return to the club. So really we just need to be focusing on centre back, which is only covered by Longley's loan deal, and a right back. And using the new features, we can create a new recruitment focus and search for a better right back to begin with as a top priority, making sure we are looking for players our scouts value as better players than what we already have at the club. And while we are here, we might as well also hunt for a left-sided centre-back too with a bit of quality and see what our scouts can find us this summer. Even the Spurs players are being less than ambitious. They were first off happy when I said to qualify for the Champions League, but almost acted offended when I said I'll get to go to the business end of the Champions League this season.
I'm stunned.
Taking a look at our right back recruitment focus, and we already have a player found in Castagna from Leicester, but there is 9 near matches which some look like good options. Vanderson I'm a big fan of, but he is rather expensive, and as you can see we do have attribute Mascadon. Montiel is a good defender, but less than so going forward, and Mwene, he's a bit of a backup at most. Clinton Mata was also a good option too, but he very soon turns 30, so I think I'd rather go for another option. I made Harry Kane captain and Højbjerg as vice captain, and that's because Lloris, he didn't want anything to do with it. First game of the season is Brentford away. And with Richarlison suspended, Perisic starts from the left hand side with Son up top and Harry Kane as a shadow striker. Midfield was a tricky decision between Højbjerg and Bentancur, but the Dane drops down to the bench this time round. And things started brilliantly when Son was slotted in to open the scoring after just 5 minutes. Harry Kane then popped in the second from the penalty spot, but 2 minutes later, new free signing Perisic played a ball across for Harry Kane to get his brace. But Brentford wasn't going down without swinging, and Ivan Toney leaped highest to score a header. In the second half, deja vu once again as Ivan Toney scored another powerful header. What a player he is, by the way. Thankfully, we realised we needed to book our ideas up, and Perisic got on the score sheet himself to return our 2-goal lead. And the game was finished off when Dejan Kulusevski picked up the 5th goal for Spurs and the final goal of the game. Ironically, I'm here looking for a right back, and Doherty played a massive part in our match, with the majority of attacks coming from his side. Upon looking at my squad, I noticed Everton are interested in Emerson Royale, which, I'll be honest, I'll be more than happy to sell with them, especially if we get close to his value of £30 million, so I offered them to him. Everton came back declining to make an offer, which is weird, but fair enough, and Inter Milan, they come in for Lucas Moura for £10 million. Considering he only has a year left on his deal, I'm going to accept it. And Lucas Moura leaves. He was on a high wage too, which helped my decision. I'm going to utilise the recruitment focus again, and we're going to look for a winger for the future. With Lucas Moura leaving and Son being 30 years of age, we need to find a player or two for the future with a good potential. Watford's João Pedro is an option that's already in the recommendations, which I am tempted with, I must be honest. Even after Yves Bissouma went on an incredible run against Wolves in the next match to give us the lead, the points were shared when Guedes deflected a shot and it went in on the 69th minute. But following that, we absolutely destroyed Forest 5-0, with Richarlison starting for the first time and scoring. And that came from a deep deep cross by Doherty which caught Henderson in goal in no man's land. Ben Davies, however, picked up a hip injury and is now going to miss a big chunk of the season, unfortunately. Another new feature in this game is the Player of the Week news, and there's no shock, it's on Erling Haaland, who scored 4 goals against Arsenal. And we actually face the other side of Manchester next at Old Trafford. My scouts have found me a very talented winger in Andre Sheldrup, and for £7.6 million, I have to take a gamble there. However, didn't expect him to be unobtainable though, he's just signed a new deal. Our scouts recommended Wilfried Single for that right back position, and again, the price of the player looks too good to turn down, so I went in and got a bid accepted. And Champions League time, listen to this. Absolutely beautiful. We are in pot 2 and we get drawn in Group A alongside Ajax. Bayer Leverkusen then join us as the third team, and Club Brugge is the final team to do so. The Manchester United game did not start great when a mistake at the back led to Jadon Sancho running through, and Christian Romero, who looked like he won the ball, gave away a penalty and even received a straight red card, which is not great. Bruno Fernandes stepped up and slotted home the penalty after just 5 minutes. And we ended the game with 9 players when Perisic got a second yellow in an abysmal 3-0 loss to the team I actually support.
If I speak, I am in big trouble.
We did come back to claim 3 points against Leeds, however, when their defender smacked the ball against Richarlison and it went in. It does mean after 5 games we're in 4th place, 5 points behind City, who have Haaland already on 11 goals, which is disgusting. It is deadline day though, and we still haven't signed a player yet. We are still waiting for Single to sign, and even players collecting interest are a weird one, with Lloris is interested from Leicester. Finally, Single signs, and overall I think it's a great signing. Definitely get some starts and develop quite nicely. I did panic though and signed a centre-back without much knowledge on him. Chitalo for around £23 million. For what I can see though, he still looks a quality player, and only at the age of 22, I think it's worth the gamble. I also transfer listed Emerson Royale after signing Single, and Newcastle came in with a great offer for a loan, with a mandatory future fee at the end of the season, which I of course accepted. Annoyingly though, he rejected the offer. Transfer window closed and Manchester City signed 3 more players in Marino, Castagne and Gabigol as a backup for Erling Haaland, as if they didn't need more quality. Harry Kane then bagged himself a hat-trick against Fulham away in the following match, whilst playing up front, finishing it off with a lovely penalty. He even assisted the 4th of the 4-1 win when Kulusevski scored an absolute peach. Chitalo, by the way, a lot better than I expected and could still improve in the future as well. But for now, let's enjoy the Champions League matchday experience and put goosebumps on our arms listening to the incredible Champions League anthem once again. We went on and won the game against Bruges 6-1, with Heung-min Son scoring 2 fabulous individual goals from the left-hand side, cutting in on his right foot. The rest of September seen us defeat Palace 1-0, draw 0-0 with Ajax away, and a bad loss to early overachievers Aston Villa 3-2 at home. And that sees them level on points with us. We clinch onto our 4th spot, but look down the bottom of the table. Arsenal there, struggling big time already in 16th position. 16th! A trip to Goodison Park can be difficult, but Son opened the scoring with a beautiful long-range effort. It just wasn't Everton's day when Richarlison's strike from range also flew in, and we rounded off a perfect 3-0 away win with a goal by Kulusevski. Harry Kane then scored a hat-trick and a 4-0 win against Leverkusen in the Champions League. But it was Pep's Manchester City who ended our run with a 94th minute 1-0 win. And more bad results came when Chelsea battered us 3-0 with goals from Kai Havertz, Jorginho from the penalty spot, and Aubameyang got the 3rd. That was after a 0-0 draw with Brighton, and with our North London rivals Arsenal up next. That also puts us down in 6th place with Chelsea, United and Villa all going ahead. And Haaland's on 20 goals after 12 games. And some people say that FM isn't realistic enough. So going into the Arsenal match, we played Harry Kane despite him being a risk for fitness, as everybody is struggling with the schedule. Son goes to the left and Richarlison is starting up front. But it was substitute Perisic who scored the the only goal of the game and gave us the win. And with a 3-1 home win against Ajax and a 5-0 Tonkin away to Leicester, we ended October with 3 wins on the bounce. Harry Kane then scored an outrageous chip in the Champions League, and Sessegnon got his first of the season, and our winning run continues. Up until Dominic Solanke scored the Bournemouth winner in a 3-2 loss. What was the keeper doing there? We defeated Stoke in the Carabao Cup, and it's just Liverpool left before the World Cup break. I then noticed Conte had been announced as the new manager of Chelsea. What the hell happened to Graham Potter, you asked? Well, they are only down in 8th place, which is a lot better than where Arsenal find themselves, still in 16th. 16th! They had also binned off Arteta and are still using a caretaker manager. So this is the team we put out against Liverpool then, and once again we are risking players with a lot of fitness troubles because everybody is struggling with fitness troubles, as this is our last game before the break after all. And things could not have started any better when Yves Bissouma scored in the first minute of the match. Harvey Elliott played through Darwin Nunez, who powerfully ran through and put it past Reece, who, again, I have no idea where he's going.
He is atrocious, isn't he?
But in the 81st minute, Perisic fired in our second and we took the lead again. Much to our disbelief, Perisic then found Bissouma in stoppage time for a third. And Yves Bissouma teed up Heung-min Son for the 4-1. What a performance. And after those heroics, we sit 4 points behind Aston Villa in 5th place, with City still leading the way, and Haaland is on 24 goals, which is more than 13 teams in the league. Harry Kane has 21 goals in 23 games so far, so he goes into the World Cup on fine form. We have already dominated Arsenal once, not letting them have a shot on target. And Arteta has already been sacked. Unlucky. So keeping the fans happy and finishing above Arsenal is keeping them delighted for the minute. And that's because Arsenal are down in 15th place with ourselves just outside the top 4. And at the top in our Champions League group ahead of Ajax, we have been drawn against Juventus in the round of 16. Kane is having a good year with 12 goals, but Erling Haaland already has 24.
I feel very good.
And we stopped last episode because of the World Cup break. So I guess we can have a look. Shocks are here that the USA top in England's group with 9 points to England's 4. Maybe England's not as overpowered as what we thought they would be. And Tunisia topped the group with France finishing second and Denmark last. Belgium and Canada being eliminated thanks to Croatia and Morocco, but the rest of the groups is kind of as what you'd expect. Second round sees England, France, USA, Argentina, Spain, Brazil, Croatia, and Cameroon all qualify, with the big names like Netherlands, Portugal, and Germany being eliminated. England then eliminated France, Brazil lost to Spain, Argentina to USA, and Croatia battered Cameroon, which could leave a very unexpected final from 2 of these 4 teams. And it's going to be an England versus Croatia final. USA finished in 3rd place, well done to them, but it was our man Harry Kane who scored the only goal in the World Cup final. So I was wrong, maybe they are still overpowered. Daniel Levy, by the way, upped our budget to £46 million, so we can make a good signing in January. For some reason, we are also facing Leyton Orient just 3 days after the World Cup final. So I gave Harry Kane and Perisic a rest, but everyone who needs match fitness starts. We took the lead really early through Kulusevski, and you think this is going to be an easy match, but oh how we were wrong when Leyton Orient equalised late on. It took until the 92nd minute before we actually win the game through some class by Son to find Richarlison. Oh, and I've also changed the skin to the Work the Spaces TCS skin. The default skin is horrendously bland, and look how great this is. I think my favourite page is the club info. Look how great this page is. FM really needs to sort it out because the default skin is so bad. Anyway, the final 2 games of the year result in 6 points for Spurs, with a great 1-0 away win to Newcastle and a 5-2 whopping of Southampton, with Son and Richarlison both getting a brace. Transfer window is now open, and I know I bought Shatalo, but Bastoni is there for such a good price, and he is world class. Look how many attributes are above 15. It's very tempting. Back to the games though, and although we rested a lot of our first team, we defeated West Ham comfortably 3-0, and Kane even came off the bench to get the third. A nice little FA Cup win against Burnley in the 3rd round followed. Chelsea in the EFL Cup, and both board and supporters are expecting a win. No pressure, lads. And we are without Heung-min Son, so this is our lineup. It was Wesley Fofana for Chelsea who scored within 10 minutes, but luckily for us, Bentancur can hit them, and hit them he did. But the ball by Kulusevski and the finish by Bryan Gil was indefendable, and we progressed through. I'm looking at my squad planner in the old squad depth screen and just struggling to see where I need to improve. I feel like it is time to start looking at Lloris's replacement. He is 36 after all, and he makes so many mistakes from what I've seen. So we head back to our old friend the recruitment focus and set out to find our first choice goalkeeper. And we put up all of our best guys for the job, including new scout David Trezeguet, who is definitely someone you want to pick up as a scout if you have the budget. Meanwhile, we signed Harry Kane to a new deal as he only had 18 months left, and I really didn't want to risk losing him. Back to the Premier League and away to 4th place Aston Villa, and Kulusevski scored the opener. A win here actually leapfrogs Villa into those Champions League spots, and Richarlison doubled our advantage with a lovely outside the foot finish. Harry Kane wrapped it up with a 3-1 victory with the third before half-time. A huge signing for Arsenal, by the way, as Ruben Neves turns down a free transfer to Barcelona for 13th place Arsenal, who to be fair do have Bielsa in charge now. Our scouts also couldn't find any goalkeepers, so I need to change what we are looking for. And as soon as I change it to 3 stars, there are 4 players in there, which makes me wonder why they didn't just show them in the near matches. A bad game followed when we fell 1-0 to Brighton and lost single to 2 yellow cards. The Palace game 3 days later was much more prosperous for Spurs and youngster Bryan Gil, but in a 5-star performance, getting 2 goals and a 9.8 average rating. Our next 4 games are very Manchester based, with 2 legs against United, Stockport, which is only half an hour away in the FA Cup, and back to Manchester for the City away game. Before we do though, I think it's time we revisit Sheldrup to see if he's ready to take a move yet. And indeed, after match's release clause, he is happy to talk and happy to be a breakthrough prospect. Good wage demands too, so overall, I'm liking this signing. First leg against United, and Kane's hard work puts through Son for a fantastic first goal. But the only other action in the match was when Bryan Gil was hacked down by Fred in midfield, who was shown a straight red card. Disgraceful tackle.
He could have been killed.
I started scouting Ramiro from Sociedad, who is described as a playmaking goalkeeper, which is exactly what I'm looking for, and looks okay with the attribute masking turned on. I also hate managing in the UK. Cheers, Brexit.
It's okay, I'm good. Let's go!
Upon appeal though, we got the permit accepted and the players signed. We might have also shipped Davinson Sanchez off with a future fee for £11 million if he plays 15 games. The semi-final second leg against United was disappointing, with a defensive mistake led to Ronaldo's epic volley. And we were eliminated from the competition thanks to Eriksen's 94th minute wonderful free kick. Manchester City next, and we were almost back to full strength with a lot of players returning from suspensions or injury. And the only goal of the game was scored by Heung-min Son thanks to Bentancur's assist. We've temporarily moved up to 3rd place while we've played 2 games more than Liverpool, but it's good to have the points on the board. Old Erling though, he's stuck on 25 goals now after some poor form.
He is atrocious, isn't he?
After another win against Everton, we suffer 2 bad results in the Premier League against West Ham and Wolves. Round of 16 time then, and it's against Juventus. We had our work cut out when Heung-min Son was injured and missed the match, and Juve put us to the sword. De Sciglio bagged 2 assists off the back of Vlavic's header and Pogba's second. Let's not talk about the fact we also lose to Brentford, and that makes it 4 straight defeats, with Liverpool next. Make that 5 on the bounce. We lost 4-2.
Piss off. Everything's going wrong. Everything's going wrong.
So I've decided to change the tactics slightly. I'm going to go 2 up top and see how that pans out instead. Up in the tempo and working the ball into the box, as well as telling the boys to get themselves stuck in. We unfortunately went behind in the following match against Southampton from the penalty spot, but Basuma's outrageous interception led to Son taking it around the goalkeeper and scored the equaliser, and unfortunately, the last goal of the game. And I started to make some very rash decisions tactically again. I started pulling players back to help our defence and even chucking in player roles such as the Segundo Volante. I just really like the name. But I think we have found something, because not only did we beat Newcastle 2-0, but we then played Juventus, and after scoring in the 83rd minute, we needed 1 more to equalise, and we did just that through bad defending and Richarlison. Extra time, and once again that combination helped, and finally Sessegnon put in a goal from the keeper's spill, meaning we win the game 4-0 and go through. And our next game is Liverpool, who have just gone top of the league, and we have Wolves breathing down our necks. Arsenal Arsenal are still 13th, by the way. And we somehow pulled off a 1-0 win upset at Anfield. Just 1 minute into the match, Kulusevski was found down the right-hand side, who picks out Harry Kane to slot one home. Bournemouth once again prevented us from taking all 3 points, but our next 3 matches are Milan and Arsenal. Fun. We went to Milan to begin with and soaked up all the pressure and unleashing Richarlison on the counter to win the game 1-0. And I actually think defensively we've been really secure at the back since the tactical change. The second tactical change. So against Arsenal, we looked our strongest as well and fully recovered from that Milan trip to the Champions League. North London derbies are always going to be tough, and Martinelli gave Arsenal the lead after just 11 minutes. However, after some fantastic work down the left-hand side, Richarlison's shot cannoned off the post for Son to put into the empty net. The favour was then returned when Son found Richarlison at the back post from a free kick, and he needed a rebound to score. But unfortunately, in the second half, Gabby Jesus scored a second for Arsenal, and the points were shared. Somehow, though, we absolutely destroyed Serie A leaders AC Milan 6-1, and Richarlison taking a man of the match performance, which then takes us into the semi-final. We then beat Leicester 3-1 at home, but it's Chelsea and United next in the league and Liverpool in the Champions League. Harry Kane once again linked up well with Richarlison and made it 1-0 against Chelsea. Then from the free kick, the keeper fumbled and Richarlison scored again. Harry Kane was then played in and made it 3-0 on the hour mark. Chelsea got a late consolation goal, but we were on fire. United also fell to our incredible run when we beat them 2-1. We thought it was business as usual when Bentancur scored the first against Liverpool. But in the 93rd minute, a really annoying Mo Salah scored the rebound after we defended with honour and tied the leg. It was then us who had to come back from 2 goals down to Graham Potter's Forest team and clinch a point thanks to Ivan Perisic's 92nd minute equaliser. Second leg then, and we can take this Tottenham team into the Champions League final, first time of asking. But what a game. It started off when Harry Kane stepped up to take a penalty, and it was saved. Richarlison then flicked the ball on, and Van Dijk made an awful decision, allowing Kane to give us the lead. Liverpool then carved us open, and Mo Salah equalised. And he then took a penalty and did not miss. But thankfully, we carried on fighting, and Richarlison played a tremendous pass to Harry Kane to score to make it 2-2 in the 95th minute. But in the 121st, Darwin Núñez scored and put Liverpool into the Champions League final. So our last remaining task is to make sure we finish in 4th place ahead of Wolves. And we also need to decide about the goalkeeper situation next season. Things didn't start too well when Fulham handed us another loss at home. And Leeds even took the lead against us, putting us at that point back into 5th place. But we fought back, and through Richarlison, we scored, and we scored again, and we ended up winning the game 4-1, with the Brazilian getting all 4 goals in a fantastic performance. Meaning that we do in fact clinch that 4th Champions League spot comfortably in the end, by nailing our objectives this first season, but the gap between us and the top is too big for my liking. But the goalkeeper situation, who should we bring in out of these 3 candidates? Started off with Ramiro, who was my original first choice as that ball-playing goalkeeper, but I've always had a soft spot for Sanchez at Brighton. I think he is amazing. And then there's the Georgian goalkeeper at Valencia, who I refuse to say his name, who is cheaper with a good potential and aerially unbeatable. I need to sign a new goalkeeper out of these 3 options. Which one did you choose? Mainly because Hugo Lloris is quite old now, and he is making some terrible mistakes. Thankfully, it didn't cost us last season as we ended our first Premier League campaign in 4th position. It was also a 121st minute goal from the Champions League final and eliminated from the other cuts by teams that were just simply better than us. And the board and supporter feedback is not too bad. A B from the board and a B- from the fans. I suspect we need to win over those hardcore fans. There was a few shockers in season 1 though, like Newcastle finishing in 17th place, Arsenal down to 11th, and Chelsea in 8th place. And that led to 8 other teams changing their manager through the season. And it was a bad season for Eddie Howe too, as he was sacked from Newcastle, took over at Bournemouth, and was still relegated with them. Unlucky. Right back to business, I've decided to go with my first instinct and try to sign Ramiro from Sociedad. And surprisingly, negotiations were a lot easier than I expected. Newcastle seemed to be the other party interested in Ramiro, and he's happy enough to be a backup, which is a little crazy, but I will accept it anyway and negotiate a good deal for both sides. So here is my dynamic manager timeline. Is anybody actually excited for this new feature, by the way? We also get an update of the supporter profile changes, which is good. We were told this feature would be dynamic, break, and we can see that family percentage has increased and a decrease in fair weather fans, which is actually a good thing as they are the impatient fans looking for success. Surprised there's any of them left at Tottenham. In the Champions League final, Liverpool met La Liga winners Barcelona and Luis Diaz gave them the lead. Ansu Fati equalised just minutes later, but Liverpool in the second half won the trophy with a fantastic goal from Trent Alexander-Arnold. We've had a bid come in for Hugo Lloris and I'm going to reject it as it's not a lot of money and I'd rather not disrupt the team by selling a locker room leader. We have, however, agreed a deal to sell Ben Davies to AC Milan for 17 million. We also got a £32 million bid for Oliver Skipp from West Ham, but he's worth way more than that. Now, Kulusevski, he's on loan and his in-loan contract there is a £30 million price for reaching the group stage of the Champions League, which we have done. But for some reason, we can't make the offer and I don't know whether it's a bug or not. Even as the loan ended, when I offered £30 million to Juve, they now want over double the amount. So maybe it means that Juve have to reach the Champions League group stage, because they actually finished in 7th place. So now we are going to be really light on that right wing spot. And I may have to invest my £30 million on that instead of other areas of the field. Although the prospect of Marcus Edwards returning could be very tasty, I'd say it's between him and Pepe at the minute. But I ended up going for Marcus Edwards because for the price of £25 million and a lot less wages than what Pepe wanted, I can't turn that down. Plus his attributes are very good and he was trained at the club, so he counts as a homegrown player. We also moved on Joe Rondon and brought £10 million into the kitty. Ndombele has also agreed to join Monaco, who will have to pay us 19 million if they also qualify for the Champions League. But then again, who knows whether that will work, like the Kulusevski point. And Davinson Sanchez joins Nice for £6 million. Which means with Tanganga also on his way out the door, there's space for another centre-back. So let me introduce you to Edson Alvarez, signed for £31 million from Ajax. He is a natural ball-playing centre-back or an incredible ball-winning midfielder, two positions we use in our new tactic. First game of the season and we are hosting champions Liverpool. European champions Liverpool too, and our starting lineup has some new faces. Edwards on that right-hand side, Alvarez in the ball-winning midfielder role, and Destiny Udogie at left-back, with Ramiro in goal. It was only 8 minutes in when Richarlison opened the scoring, and in the second half when Edwards' ball came back to him, he showed tricky feet and somehow floated one into the top corner out of reach of Alisson. And to cap off a perfect day, in the 94th minute, Heung-min Son scored to make it 3-0. With Harry Kane out injured from this game, Sheldrup took his spot and scored from Edwards' cross. Second half, and Alvarez pushed forward and played in Heung-min Son, who dinked the goalkeeper with a naughty little chip and secured all 3 points. Champions League draw time, and that wonderful theme blesses our ears again and we get drawn with Bayern Munich. AC Milan then also joins us in the group and already tells me it is the group of death, and Sturm Graz completes our group. And looking at the complete draw, there are some interesting ones like City and PSG and Real Madrid and Liverpool, but I still think ours is the hardest. One last thing on the transfer window as we bring in Mathys Tel from Bayern Munich for short of £30 million. It's a lot of money for an 18-year-old, but he is an astonishing talent, already with great potential, who can fill in when Kane and Richarlison is injured, or play from both wings. He slots in nicely on the squad planner as our third best striking option ahead of Sheldrup and Dane Scarlett. So after our fantastic start, there's some very winnable games in September, ending with the North London derby before a trickier October. The game against Brighton was all about Richarlison though, as he first assisted Heung-min Son beautifully. It wasn't long later that our sexy football allowed Harry Kane through in the box to square it across for Richarlison's first. Second half, and this time it was Marcus Edwards who found him with a great through ball, and what a touch and finish from the Brazilian. Romero got caught dawdling on the ball though, and Muriel punished him by dinking the goalkeeper to make it 3-1. But then Richarlison claimed his hat-trick with an insane half volley right into the top corner. But he wasn't done there, and he got his 4th goal to make it 5-1 in a 5-star performance in injury time. First game of the Champions League this season, and Marcus Edwards cuts the ball back to Kane to score the opener. But the goal of the night must go to Yves Bissouma for this thunder bastard.
Oh my God!
We were dominant in the Watford game, and once again Richarlison played exceptional, getting man of the match. The Carabao Cup was a chance to give Mathys Tel an opportunity to impress, and he did that, scoring 2 goals and a win over Bristol City, including a fantastic volley. It wasn't enough to earn him a spot in the starting lineup though in the North London derby, when Romero's header and Richarlison's outrageous angle strike put us 2-0 up at the Emirates in just 4 minutes. Harry Kane then made it 3 and we couldn't believe it.
Get in!
But Arsenal weren't going to go and lay down for us and let us walk all over. They pulled one back just 10 minutes later. And almost from our kickoff, they went and won the ball back and Vieira played Jesus through and made it 3-2. And right before the half-hour mark, Danjuma made the game 3-3.
Oh, you're joking.
Luckily for us, Tomiyasu's winning goal was disallowed thanks to him being fractionally offside. And that's where this mental North London derby ended. 3-3. So at this stage, we sit in second place as the only unbeaten team behind Newcastle by a point. Richarlison is the top scorer with 8 ahead of Martial, who's just signed for Leicester. We then faced AC Milan in the Champions League, and unlikely scorer Eric Dyer bagged one from a throw-in. Soon after though, things were level when Tonali found Olivier Giroud, who smashed in the hardest shot I've ever seen.
I contend that I'm gorgeous.
But thankfully though, in the 90th minute, a new hero came along and Matisse Tel scored the winner in the 90th minute. And it was at that point it all started going wrong. Thankfully, after 3 defeats, we bounced back hosting Southampton with Edwards scoring the first. And the 18-year-old monster Matisse Tel once again scoring and impressing me. Maybe we need to start starting him in some games now. Arsenal have now leapfrogged us and found themselves in top spot, and 4th down to 11th can all overtake us at this point. While Watford, they still have 0 points. Chelsea up next, followed by Bayern Munich, and the Blues took the lead through Koulibaly's strike. But once again, Matisse Tel came to the rescue with an excellent run and shot for the first, and constant pressure on the second to win the ball back and win the game with his second goal. Bayern Munich are top of our Champions League group, and they also took the lead from our defensive mistake. Tel though got on the end of Richarlison's header and equalised. Bayern was then awarded a penalty and Sadio Mane put them back ahead. But after Sessegnon's cross looped up in the air, Matisse Tel jumped higher than the other 2 defenders and we rescued a point. I absolutely love him already. His value has skyrocketed to over £80 million, and I'm not surprised with an average rating like that for just an 18-year-old. Harry Kane then scored a hat-trick against Wolves in a 4-2 victory in the league, and not only is he scoring, but Matisse Tel is also assisting them when he played Kane through for his final goal.
Hello, nice to meet you. Helps out my goal the other day, dude. Congratulations. We've done introduce you to the team.
Kane got another 2 against Norwich, but after being 3-1 up with 4 minutes of the 90 to go, Norwich scored 2 late goals to take 2 points away from us. Thankfully though, we took a trip to Milan and Basuma hit another screamer. And Richarlison was back amongst the goals and we win the game 2-0. And after an unbeaten November and the emergence of Matisse Tel into the first team, we really have a very busy December, starting with Manchester United. Kane and Richarlison is leading the scoring with 11, but Matisse Tel is right behind them on 9 in only 9 starts. We slip further behind Arsenal, who are now 8 points ahead of us, and Brentford, who are doing surprisingly well, are right on our backs in 5th. Unfortunately, Erling Haaland seems to have been picking up his form again and has 11 goals. We've already qualified for our Champions League group, but it's going to take some turnaround to top the group ahead of Bayern Munich. And then we put on the performance of the season. The visitors were Manchester United, and when Heung-min Son's cross wasn't dealt with, Richarlison capitalised 1-0. He then played through Tel through on goal, and the 18-year-old chipped the goalkeeper beautifully. Our goalkeeper Ramiro then played an outrageous drop kick through, and Raphael Varane couldn't deal with it or catch Matisse Tel, who took it around their goalkeeper 3-0. Tel was then fantastic down the left-hand side and found Marcus Edwards, who then cut back on the inside on his left, and deflected shot made it 4-0. And we capped off this 5-star performance with a 5th and a hat-trick by Matisse Tel. We followed that up with a 5-1 win against Sturm Graz, and it wasn't good enough to overtake Bayern Munich, who also beat Milan. But I'm happy with the draw we got against Atletico Madrid, although they are being managed by Thomas Tuchel now. Matisse Tel then went on a rampage. 3 goals against West Ham in the league, 4 goals against Everton in the cup, and just the 1 goal in a 5-2 away win at Brentford. With the month of December also including a loss away to Leeds and a 1-1 draw at home to Everton in the league. And just like that, we drop out of the top 4, but it's so close. Just a point separating Chelsea in 7th and Man City in 2nd. And our top scorer of the season so far, by the way, is Matisse Tel. And going into January, we have £48 million to spend this transfer window. But what position do you you think we need to improve this team? Teo no surprisingly picked up the European Golden Boy, and then finished in second place of the French Player of the Year, only behind Kylian Mbappe. He's 18 years old. I thought I'd glance on the transfer list and was astonished to see the caliber of players on there. From Ivan Yilson and Gonzalo Ramos at PSG, we had Brahim Diaz at Real Madrid, Riddle Baku at Chelsea, who's a solid right back, Conor Gallagher, who would be an interesting choice, and then it got better when I seen Christian Pulisic for just £20 million, and Julian Alvarez for a similar price, and even further down, there's Renato Sanchez. But whatever I do, I just gotta make sure I don't lose my best players, such as Matisse Tel. But I doubt anybody would have come in this soon and disrupt him. He's only been here for 6 months and kind of make him want to leave, would they? Or will they? It's January and I have £48 million burning a hole in my pockets. And with it being incredibly close to the top of the table with just 1 point separating second from 7th, our next move in the transfer market could be the difference of Champions League football next season. One of the highlights though, of course, is Matisse Tel. He is now our top scorer this season at just 18 years old. His attributes are flying already, he's improving every day, and look at his goals per 90, above 1 a game. And he gets an assist in the first game of the year against Aston Villa. Harry Kane scored a second and 3 points was won. Back to some transfer talk, and the guy Manu Kone has really caught my eye. And with his contract running out in the summer and lack of game time, even Perisic has agreed a deal with Zenit. Home to Leicester City with a few injuries and suspensions, a very rotated side didn't stop us from taking the lead when Sheldrick found Heung-min Son. But when Teo was having a bad game and was substituted, it was his replacement who stole the headlines, Dane Scarlett. He scored his first in the 83rd minute, and then once again from Sheldrick's pass in the 90th minute. Dane Scarlett is 19 years of age now and developing nicely. Bids are beginning to come in, with Bayern Munich making an offer for Wilfried Singo, but it's way too low. We are away to Newcastle, and Matisse Tel couldn't be held off from the score sheet for another game. He scored in 5 minutes, but Newcastle was awarded a penalty and Isak stepped up and Ramiro saved. Unlucky. We finished the game 1-0 winners and had Ramiro to thank for the 3 points of his man of the match performance. We then sold Sergio Reguilon to Lazio for £12 million, giving us just short of £60 million in the transfer budget. Semi-final of the Carabao Cup, and Virgil van Dijk snaps Harry Kane and receives a straight red card.
He could have been killed.
And given that it happened on the 16th minute, it really harmed Liverpool's performance and we came away 4-2 winners at Anfield. Annoyingly, we took that win into an FA Cup game against Stoke and drew the game 2-2, meaning we do have to have a replay. Even worse is look where Manu Kone ended up going to.
Oh no! Oh no!
But I may have made a very big transfer, and I'll wait for it to be completed before I show you. Second leg against Liverpool and a solid draw, meaning we are off to Wembley for the final. And what a coincidence is Manchester United who we face in that final.
I will love it if we beat them. Love it.
We have Man City next, and I thought I'd share the transfers they've made, including João Felix for £100 million, Martinelli from Arsenal for another £60 million, and Lucas Hernandez from Bayern Munich for £60 million. And yet Pep Guardiola can still only get them to 5th position at this point.
Frau Diola. Okay.
Teo needed a rest, so it's Richarlison and Kane up top for now. We definitely started off strongest, and with lovely football we sliced City open down our left hand side, and left back Udogie smashed one in past Ederson. Harry Kane then stepped up calmly to take a penalty to make it 2-0, but it was an incredible save by the goalkeeper. And it cost us because Mikel Merino ran around our whole defence and equalised, and in the dying seconds after losing the ball, it looked like João Felix took a swing at Doherty and he retaliated and got himself sent off. On a positive note though, here is our new signing for £30 million, Scalvini. He is easily the best defender that we could afford, and he's just 20 years of age, an incredible talent with insane mental attributes. We then cruised past Stoke in the FA Cup replay and defeated Southampton 4-3 with 4 different goal scorers. But it's deadline day and I've signed another player in Devon Wrench, a squad player who can help us at right back, centre back and DM for a £26 million release clause. We took on Aston Villa on deadline day evening and Danny opened the scoring. Yves Bissouma went off injured and Oliver Skip came on to replace him and scored almost immediately. Danny Ings though, he's a quality finisher, and look at this for a strike. Thankfully, Heung-min Son broke down the left and cut the ball back for Matisse Tel to score into the empty net. Game over, 2-2. Chelsea next, and the combination of Harry Kane's through ball and Matisse Tel's run and chip finish, what a goal. Romero got the second, and we dominate Chelsea and take the 3 points home. And just like that, we have caught up to Arsenal with that result and are now just 2 points behind them, but they do have a game in hand. A 6-0 win against Burnley and a 4-2 FA Cup win against Luton, and I've realised we haven't lost for months. It was Leeds at the start of December. That was our only loss since Bayern Munich in October. Arsenal are crumbling, by the way, with only 1 win in 7 matches. And just like that, we are on the same points and top on goal difference. Liverpool next at Anfield, and we've gone rather attacking. Darwin Nunez punished us from a Harvey Elliott free kick in the 22nd minute. Mo Salah then doubled Liverpool's lead in the 82nd, but Harry Kane gave us hope from the spot with 5 minutes left. But it was that man again, Darwin Nunez, who killed us off in the 93rd minute to give us our first loss in ages. Meaning they've actually leapfrogged us in the league as well. And after Scalvini scored his first and a winner against Brentford, our second trip to Merseyside in 8 days also ended in a loss. Atletico up next in the Champions League, and it's Liverpool in the FA Cup and the Cup final versus Manchester United. There was only 1 goal in the Atletico game, and it was a banger from Heung-min Son. FA Cup tie next against Liverpool, and late in the game, Oliver Skip sent Heung-min Son free in the corner, and he did incredibly well to slot in the shot from such a tight angle. And we secured our place in the quarterfinals when Son volleyed in a second in the 90th minute, knocking Liverpool out. That win gives us great momentum going into the cup final against Manchester United. Can Spurs finally win their first trophy since 2008? Well, with East Basuma suspended, the only real change from our strongest 11 is Højbjerg accompanying Alvarez in centre defence midfield. Scalvini and Romero are favourable at centre back, and Richarlison and Bentancur are still recovering from injuries. After an incredibly tight first half, a play down the right hand side released Matisse Tel to open the deadlock with a fantastic finish. But United came back at us, and Manuel Ugarte scored a screamer that Romero could do nothing about. The game went to extra time as we countered, and Marcus Edwards was played through by Harry Kane. As he was closed down, he chopped back onto his left and also unleashed a rocket into the far corner. But United loved scoring late, and Manuel Ugarte turned provider when he played Ronaldo through, who coolly finished in the near post. Penalties it was. And Ronaldo stepped up first, saved. Kane takes our first, scores. Bruno Fernandes scores. Edwards scores. Koopmeiners scores. Scarlett scores. Jadon Sancho scores. Sheldrup scores. Hannibal, he can't afford to miss, and he doesn't. And it all came down to Ryan Sessegnon. He approaches the ball, he steps left, and he sends David De Gea the wrong way and wins the Carabao Cup for Spurs.
Get in!
Adulation from the fans and the board as Spurs finally lift a trophy. It's not the best trophy to win though, is it? We pretty much fully rotated the team for the next match away to West Ham in the league after extra time really took it out of our players. And after West Ham took the lead early in the second half, Dane Scarlett came in clutch with 2 goals and the winner in the 90th minute. And we followed that with a win over Leeds to dominant fashion and with another Matisse Tel hat-trick. Although Harry Kane was man of the match with 2 goals and assisting all 3 of his strike partners. Our 1-0 lead in the Champions League against Atletico was washed when terrible back pass was intercepted by Morata in the first minute of the match. Yet again, bad defending allowed Carrasco to hit the byline and play it across for Morata to tap in for 2-1 Atletico. And by the 15th minute, it was 3 when Carrasco's cross found Morata's head for his hat-trick. Thankfully though, a wonderful 1-2 by Son and Richarlison gave Son the chance to score from a tight angle. And from Atletico's attack, we countered with pace, and Kane played Richarlison through, who slotted it around the goalkeeper, 3-3 on aggregate. But it was our day in the end as we managed to squeeze in a goal line scramble to send us through to the quarterfinals. Our youth intake came through, and it wasn't terrible for once. A couple of promising talents and an elite striker from Slovakia, which I absolutely love by the way. More foreign youngsters coming through everywhere is great. Champions League draw time, and I thought it was a perfect reminder of how awesome this anthem is. Teams are being drawn. As soon as I see Manchester United, I just knew it was going to happen. There's actually 4 English teams in the quarterfinals, so chances are if we progress, we may meet another one in the semi-finals. Actually, no, that's not the case, as the semi-final draw gives us the winner of either PSG or Fiorentina. Our first 4 fixtures in April include 3 matches against Manchester United with 2 away games to start us off. A 1-0 FA Cup quarter-final win, and we have reached a much-needed 12-day rest before our next game. First match against United in the Premier League, and although Manchester United went ahead, once we found our rhythm we couldn't stop scoring, and eventually through goals by Edwards, a lovely Kane volley, and 2 poacher finishes by Tell, we found ourselves 4-1 up. Ronaldo did set up Sancho to score their second, but we took all 3 points. With the first leg of the Champions League quarters, I gave a few players a rest and the game ended without a goal. The Newcastle game, we kept some players fresh for the second leg of the Champions League, and it was a good decision, as Richarlison scored a lovely volley in Kane's absence. Edson Alvarez spiked one into a dangerous area, and the deflection took it past the goalkeeper to complete the 2-0 scoreline. Second leg against Manchester United, and after we lose the ball, Yves Bissouma robs Casemiro at the edge of the area and smashes it into the corner, 1-0. And in the second half, a long ball by Udogie found the run of Tell, who pushes it past the goalkeeper and sends us through to the semi-final of the Champions League. Off to Wembley next for another semi-final against Wolves in the FA Cup. And with Heung-min Song's extra time goal, we are heading to another final. With back-to-back 1-0 wins in the league, it's PSG in the Champions League, and look who we face in the FA Cup final once again.
I can't believe it!
PSG away in Paris, and we are holding out with a strong lineup. But when Neymar played through Mbappe, we closed down the angle really well. I didn't expect him to shoot, and I definitely didn't expect it to fly into the top corner. Neymar went down the left again and cut it back to Nuno Mendes, and there was Lionel Messi for the cutback 2-0. But we wouldn't leave without scoring, and in the 93rd minute, we scored what could be a very vital goal from Shatalo. And that does give us a bit of hope going into the second leg.
I'm a fighter and not a quitter.
In the midst of all the cup drama, Arsenal lost 2-0 to Chelsea as we play them in 2 games' time. And with our game in hand, we could put ourselves top of the Premier League. Where Mitrovic gave Fulham the league, I thought typical, but with the most magical vision, Edwards picked out Kane, and things were all square 15 minutes in. Edwards then bagged another assist, when this time it was Andre Sheldrup who benefited to put us up in front. And we rounded off the 3 points when Harry Kane scored in a crowded box, which at the point puts us top of the league. And I'm sorry, but we just need to see that assist in slow motion one more time. Absolutely incredible pass. Looking at this, it's quite frightening how close we are to the quadruple. But of course, that hangs in the balance of how we get on in the second leg against PSG. I'm forced to play a slightly fatigued Harry Kane, but there's no way I could leave him out of the lineup. And that turned out to be a wise decision, where he broke the deadlock early on. We then took the lead when Alvarez scored a screamer into the top corner. But PSG came back at us, and Hakimi found Mbappe's run, and we were all square once again. But in the second half, Tell went on an outrageous run. His pass was blocked, but he got it back, and he continued and found himself shooting into the far corner from an angle and scoring. And would you believe it, Harry Kane scored a penalty and sent us through to the Champions League final, where we will play Manchester City. But has there ever been a more important North London derby? We win and we go ahead with a game in hand. We draw, we could still overtake them, but if we lose, we need them to drop points on the final day. But in a match with 13 yellow cards, 1 red card, 37 shots, and only 1 goal, it was Harry Kane who found the back of the net to give us all 3 points. But look at the amount of yellow cards that was racked up. And with Liverpool keeping up with us quietly, ready to strike, we literally cannot afford to drop any points. And Liverpool then went on and battered Burnley 6-1, but we beat that score with a 7-1 win over Brighton. And that then pushed Arsenal out of reach in the league with 1 game to go, but just 1 point between us and Liverpool as we go into game week 38. And on that final day, Liverpool travel to Fulham while we visit already relegated Watford. And Liverpool, despite going a goal behind, went and won the game 3-2 at Craven Cottage. So we needed all 3 points. And we did it emphatically. A 6-0 hammering of Watford with some incredible goals. And just like that, we are Premier League champions. But of course, we've still got the FA Cup and Champions League final to go. And unfortunately, we picked today of all games to have our worst game of the season, and United made us pay. In the 81st minute, Jadon Sancho broke the deadlock. And in the 95th minute, he picked up his second goal of the game, and United win the FA Cup.
If I speak, I am in big trouble.
But here we are then, another trip to Wembley, but this time, it's for the biggest prize in club football. The Champions League. And I had to make some tough decisions, such as leaving out Heung-min Son on the bench as he is still recovering from an injury, and Richarlison starts left mid, which he actually cannot play. City still managed by Pep Guardiola, stronger than they've ever been. But we have been exceptional. We are the Carabao Cup winners. We are the Premier League winners. We have overcome all of the odds, and we've eliminated the best, and in the next episode, we'll find out if we are Champions League winners. We have made it to the Champions League final. And this is how it happened. Last season we went on a bad run and I decided to change the tactic. It didn't work.
I'm a fighter and not a quitter.
So I changed it again and the results started to turn themselves around. And then a big factor came into play. We signed Matthijs Tel from Bayern Munich. And he couldn't stop scoring goals. We went on and lifted the Carabao Cup and a late winner in the North London derby by Kane, putting us in the driving seat for winning the league. So we gave Brighton a 7-1 Tonkin and still had 6 left for Watford. And we lifted the Premier League for the first time in Spurs history.
Get in!
Unfortunately, United beat us in the FA Cup final, so the quadruple is off. But here we are in the present, the team sheets are finalised. That scary City lineup with Erling Haaland leading the line, of course, and Pep in charge. Can we do the unthinkable and win the Champions League? Could we become treble winners? And after a quiet first 20 minutes, Manchester City hounded us on the ball and Kevin De Bruyne snatched it and just like that sent Erling Haaland through on goal. He takes it slightly too wide and wastes an amazing chance.
He is atrocious, isn't he?
Throw in Spurs to Harry Kane. Harry Kane plays it back to Single, gets the cross in, it is cleared by Lewis. Single to Basuma, back to Single, can he whip a better ball in this time round? He's been closed down, it's back to Basuma, plays it back to Oliver Skip, what a shot! But Ederson with an even better save. And that is so unfortunate for Spurs. Single, will he have a third attempt of getting this ball in? He's tackled, Hernandez is already on the yellow. The referee approaches. Is he going to send him off? That should be a second yellow. I think he's checking to see whether it was inside the box or not. I think yes, he's waiting for VAR. Penalty review. It's no penalty, but it's got to be a yellow card, surely. He's letting him off. He's not booking him. I don't believe it. Edwards gets the crossing, but it's awful, and Haaland clears the ball. Corner ball now. Marcus Edwards is going to take it. Can he whip a better crossing this time round? He does. It is still headed clear though. Basuma to Kane. Scalvini. Edwards has a pop on his left foot. It's hit the post. And Hernandez, who doubly should be on the pitch, gets it clear. Foden now with a corner. It's very late. It's headed out. We've already gone over the 1 minute of added time. We're 30 seconds over. Foden's put it in the net. Foden has scored in the Champions League final. And me and all the other Spurs fans are wondering why the whistle has not been blown yet. We are 40 seconds over the allotted time to be added on. Hernandez again involved. Headed it back to Foden. Nobody closes him down. And he smashes it into that far corner. Well, it's half time. I'm not going to make any changes. But it is Manchester City 1, Tottenham Hotspur 0. And Hernandez throws it into Foden. It's cleared. What? No. The referee is giving that as a penalty. The referee is giving that. It's being checked by VAR. Surely that's a no pen. Penalty awarded. And things are getting worse for Tottenham Hotspur. Kevin De Bruyne is standing over the penalty. He steps up. He is. Romero saves. Ramiro saves. Kevin De Bruyne is tackled and Basuma clears the ball. And we are still in this now. Lewis to Ruben Diaz. He clears it long. Sessegnon has got the ball. To Alex Ramiro, the hero of Tottenham Hotspur so far. Cannot find Tell, but Marcus Edwards has picked up the loose ball. Richarlison, he's played through Harry Kane. He's got a score. He's chipped the keeper. But Hernandez, yet again, is involved and stops Tottenham Hotspur from equalising. Marcus Edwards, can he get across? Hernandez, yet again, crosses it and clears. We're going to make some changes. We're going attacking. We're going to bring off a couple of players as well. Basuma's going to come off. Højbjerg or Edson Alvarez. I'm going to bring on Edson Alvarez. We're going to swap these two guys around. Oliver Skip is going to be the segundo volante, the guy who makes it tick in the midfield. He's very good creatively. But I still feel like I need to get Richarlison in a more prominent position. Devon Wrench is going to come on at right back. I'm probably going to bring on Udogie at left back as well for Sessegnon. We are using our fullbacks quite a lot, so we need to make sure that they are fresh. We haven't got a lot of time. Maybe bring in Skip a little bit further forward and get him a bit more involved in the action. And Richarlison needs to go further forward in his more natural position. Bring him further forward. We're going to move Oliver Skip to a more box-to-box midfielder, probably. I think that's probably the best way to go. Either send a midfielder or box-to-box midfielder. Get him involved more in the game. That's the most important thing. And maybe change Devon Wrench into an inverted wing-back to kind of help out Alvarez in the counter. But there is another throw-in. Rodrigo now. We are 66 minutes gone. Rodrigo plays it long to Bernardo Silva, but well done Udogie for winning that ball back. Romero to Scalvini. Now can we break? Can we? Harry Kane spreads it far wide. Edwards, is a terrible touch. What a tackle though. He's gone past one. He's played through Harry Kane. Harry Kane puts it in. Harry Kane puts it in, and it's his 31st goal of the season. Harry Kane scores, and it is Tottenham Hotspur 1, Manchester City 1 in the Champions League final. I thought Marcus Edwards had lost the ball there, but it's Hernandez again. He tackled him, and that vision from Marcus Edwards to find Harry Kane, who slots it through the legs of Ederson. Foden now plays the ball long. It's headed out. Back to Laporte. What a shot. Oh, what a save again from Alex Ramiro, who has definitely kept us in this. Right, I need to make some more changes. I feel like bringing Edwards down a little bit now that we are at 1-1. I don't want to go too far forward and then end up getting countered. Maybe even change the mentality to cautious. I've seen this work. Throw in. Udogie's got the ball. He crosses it. Ederson's missed it. But we cannot capitalise. Udogie's got the ball back. Crosses it in. It's headed back out. Please do not let Manchester City counter. They've won the ball back. There's Hernandez breaking down his left-hand side. It's a lovely ball. João Felix, but Wrench has done so well. Marcus Edwards back to Scalvini. Has he found Devon Wrench on the run? He's got the ball wide. Devon Wrench plays it back to Oliver Skip. He's found Marcus Edwards. He smashed it in the net. And it's 2-1 Manchester City on the 83rd minute. And somehow, defying all the odds, we've come back. I'm bringing on Heung-min Son for Richarlison. I'm probably going to need to bring off Matisse Tell as well. He hasn't really got involved as much as what I'd hoped. And maybe bringing on Højbjerg now as a more defensive midfielder. Pack out that midfield and hopefully we can win the midfield battle and hold out for the rest of the game. Keep Harry Kane up there by himself. He's always going to be a danger, and with Heung-min Son on one side and Marcus Edwards on the other, we always have the ability to counter. But I think packing out the midfield is our way to go. Okay, now Foden has cleared it. Oh no! John Stones has headed it in, and that is absolutely woeful for us. Oh, I don't believe it. In the 94th minute, yet again. And that is full time. Extra time it is. Do I make any more changes now? Dane Scarlett, we're going to bring him on for Edson Alvarez. He's already a substitute, but I feel like keeping Skip on for his creativity and bringing on Dane Scarlett, who can run the flanks, possibly create some more opportunities for us, is definitely the way to go. And go back to our more natural position where we've been looking like previously, but with Son higher up than Marcus Edwards on that left-hand side because he is carrying an injury. I'd rather keep Edwards further back, who has played the majority of the game. The time is ticking on. We have a corner ourselves. Heung-min Son whips it in. It is cleared. Only as far as Udogie, though. He's picked it up. Who's hanging back there? Plays across to Højbjerg. Okay, well, look, I'm going to try and spread this across the pitch. Romero now to Devon Wrench. Pops it off to Harry Kane, who's come deep. There's a ball to Heung-min Son, who is making his way back across the pitch to his natural position. Found himself in the best position possible. What a run and what a ball by Harry Kane. Absolutely incredible creativity from our captain. He drops in deep, he picks the ball up and turns and sees the run of Heung-min Son, who fires it into the back of the net and puts Tottenham Hotspur 3-2 up. Well, Manchester City have the ball now. It's the 105th minute. In extra time, Romero can only clear as far as João Felix. This isn't good. He's running around the outside. We've done well to keep him off. What a cross. And Martinelli, for the third time in this game, has brought the game level. This is an incredible match. This is an incredible match. We could not get the ball clear. Romero unfortunately tried to go long, did not get it far enough. João Felix punished us. What an incredible run and pass that is. And Martinelli found himself in acres of space and makes it 3-3. Spurs free kick very late in the game now and near the halfway line. We've got to be aware of the counter-attack from Manchester City. It's a clever pass at Heung-min Son. He plays across Højbjerg. It's saved. Gotta score. He hits the post. I don't believe it. It's all over. It's penalty kicks. Okay, so I noticed that Højbjerg is anxious ahead of his penalty shootout, so I don't think I'm going to pick him quite high up. I think we'll go with the players with the most composure to begin with, and then stick Højbjerg near the bottom, probably in front of Romero. But I'm also hoping that we never actually get to that point, and we win the penalty shootout before that ever happens. Right. Let's go. Team talk time. Relax. Pick your spot. Don't change your mind. Everybody get those fingers crossed. It's Harry Kane stepping up first against Ederson. Harry Kane scores. Good penalty. Right into the corner. Now, Romero has saved a penalty already in this game. João Felix steps up. He saves it again. What a save as well from Alex Romero. Now it falls down to Dane Scarlett, the 19-year-old. Can he handle the pressure? He can. Good penalty once again. Ederson was nowhere near it. İlkay Gundogan, very good penalty taker. Steps up. Sends Romero the wrong way. It's 2-1 Tottenham Hotspur on penalties so far. Marcus Edwards returned to the club. Can he score in the Champions League final? He does. Well, he's already scored. That's a penalty as well. Ever reliable Phil Foden for Manchester City. Good penalty. Sends it down the middle. Heung-min Son. We thought he got the winner. We thought he had already scored the winner, but it wasn't to be. Heung-min Son steps up. Oh, lovely penalty. He didn't even have an actual run-up. He used his actual walk to the ball as his run-up. John Stones' time now. He steps up. He scores. He had to score or else this would have been all over. But we just need one more goal to win the Champions League final. And it falls on the shoulders of Oliver Skipp. And I must say I kept him on when maybe I shouldn't have. I took off Alvarez. Oliver Skipp bangs it in. And Oliver Skipp wins the Champions League for Tottenham Hotspur. Can you believe it? In just 2 seasons, we turned this team around. We won the Premier League. We won the Carabao Cup. And now we are the winners of the Champions League. Harry Kane lifts the trophy aloft. The confetti cannons are flying. Everybody's going mental. Tottenham Hotspur are Champions League winners.